Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at our now ongoing winter storm for the eastern United States. We have a lot of snowfall coming down, a lot of freezing rain, and a whole lot of rainfall as well. We're also going to be talking about some upcoming snowfall chances in just a moment as well. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, when do you think our next winter storm here in the eastern United States will be? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. I'd also like to announce for our channel members and people that are considering becoming channel members that we just made a channel membership exclusive written post here on our YouTube channel about the upcoming pattern, kind of in the long range, the temperature pattern where things can get even colder than they have been, which is very surprising. So we're going to be talking about all of the upcoming pattern as a whole in that post. If you want to join that today, it should be next to the subscribe button right down below. Anyway, let's get straight into this real radar that's going on right now. We have a tiny bit of precipitation here in the southwestern United States, some of that in the upper Midwest. But really, obviously, the big story here is our massive storm here in the southeastern United States. So quickly, obviously, I want to save the best for last. Let's just take a look here at California real quick, where we do have some showers going on. And these are generally heading kind of in a north-westerly direction, as you can see. Kind of from this more southern California region here, more up towards San Jose and San Francisco. Really, the San Francisco Bay Area in general is the northern extent of these showers, and they're heading offshore after that. So we can see that taking place. And some of these, we're seeing yellows pop up, which will be a bit heavier, which is pretty interesting also. So that's the biggest story out west. There's not a lot happening out west at all, as you can see. We do have this pocket. Whoa, too much there. We do have this pocket of showers here for eastern Montana as well as western North Dakota. This is in the form of rain and snow. As you can see, this is all north of I-94 there. So this is all taking place north of there at this point. But throughout the morning, this morning, it will kind of cross to the southern part of that interstate. It will cross over. Now, we do have some snowfall going on for the upper Midwest here as well. We can see areas in Minnesota and also Wisconsin, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan there. Some of these pockets in here, these white, very bright white shades, that is some heavier snowfall. I would say probably about moderate to moderate heavy snowfall taking place. Again, all of this is mostly north of I-94 as well, though, in Minnesota and Wisconsin. There's a little bit of a tail there that does go south of that interstate, but it's very brief. Most of that snowfall is taking place to the north of that interstate. Now let's take a look at our big storm, and we're going to have to take a pretty zoomed out look here because this is a massive storm at this point. I'm going to be watching this morning in southeastern Virginia. It looks like we might start out as some snowfall, which, you know, obviously I'd love to see that snowfall falling out of the sky. It's currently 32 right now, and I think the low pressure system is far enough to where we could see some snowfall. It's currently 7 a.m., so we'll see what happens. I would love to see some flakes flying. Obviously, we're going to very quickly, in the eastern regions of North Carolina and Virginia, switch over to rainfall in those regions. We can see just massive amounts of heavy precipitation right in there, that yellow and oranges. That is that supercharged, lines of showers and snowfall taking place because of how strong this low pressure system is at this point. We could see some snowfall and mixed precipitation happening mostly for these regions at this point on the very northern extent of this storm. And also that freezing rain is developing there in this pocket. Unfortunately, the area where we expected the worst of it to occur, it looks like you guys did possibly start as some snowfall, but that very quickly switched over to some freezing rain. And that is going to quickly become a serious situation, so be on the lookout for that as well. Let's just take a little bit of a zoomed in look actually at those impacts. We can see it started out as kind of normal rain, then some snowfall taking place, and then it really just builds in with some freezing rain there, indicated by those pinks and oranges in that region. Greenville, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina. So areas in there, especially even up near Raleigh as well, is where the worst of this is occurring. So we're going to be watching very, very closely, obviously, for all of those implications that are going to come with that. Now, if you are in these mountainous regions, it appears that it'll be more snowfall than than freezing rain, better yet. So you can see those are holding on to that snowfall. So we do expect some accumulation. I told you guys this the other day, but I am visiting the Smoky Mountains in just a couple of weeks now, so I'm very excited for that. Looks like it's going to be very, very cold, though. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. I'm very, very excited for that. We do see some snowfall on this back end here building in. The rain snow line, as you can see, is moving further and further southward and eastward, really, where we're seeing it switch towards all the way down here. Pardon me. Where it's all the way down here, and it was up here, so we're seeing this really recede back, and more areas see snowfall. But it's a messy storm as of right now. It's going to get more and more snowy as this storm obviously moves up the coast here. We're going to see more snowfall build in for this area than we are down here, obviously, with it being much further north. So we're going to see this one develop throughout the day today, which will be very interesting. But you can tell how major of a storm this is just by all those yellows and oranges, and just purely by the amount of space this storm is taking up right now. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of heavy precipitation in there especially, and this is all headed northward, obviously, with the storm. So this is going to be a work in progress, but this storm is going to be a major, major, major one. Could go down as the most impactful winter storm of the entire winter, depending on how it plays out, and depending on how the rest of the winter plays out as well. But overall, this one has been exciting and fun to track with you guys for a long time, and I'm sorry to see it go, but we have more storms actually in the future to track. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to some model guidance and primarily talk about the upcoming things, not this storm, primarily the upcoming things. All right, now like I said, we're going to primarily focus on the upcoming snowstorms, not this ongoing one. So we're going to be taking a look at our European and GFS model, but let's just watch this play out on the European model, see if anything's changed. And it really hasn't. We see freezing rain in here. Again, the snow builds in further once we see it up here. Virginia and North Carolina clearly switch over to rainfall fairly quickly. There might be about 30 minutes of snowfall or an hour of snowfall in the beginning. Obviously, even if it somehow managed to accumulate with hours and hours of rainfall and warm temperatures afterwards, it's not going to matter at all. Now, we do see that build into a major snowstorm, obviously, and then eventually move out here. Now, let's switch to the 0Z model run because I want to get a little further with this. And what ends up happening is we see a huge trough build into the eastern United States. Now, this isn't surprising, and we see this on our GFS and our European model. The GFS actually looks very, very potent with this, but the jet stream kind of looks like this, and what's weird is it's kind of centered like this. That's where the ridge is centered. It's an odd pattern we're in, but that causes the jet stream to kind of go a little bit inverted and look about like that. We see a winter storm down here. And if you remember, if you guys are dedicated viewers and watch every single day, you will remember that this snowstorm that is ongoing, one day, it was a long time ago, it was maybe a week ago or more, but we saw this storm look something like this. And what ends up happening is it trends further and further and further northwest, and it becomes a major snowstorm that way. Now, that's not guaranteed to happen, but I just want to mention that has been happening all winter. And this storm could easily push a little bit northwestward, and we would be taking a look at a snowstorm out of this. And already, I mean, as it is, it already looks like a major snowstorm, but it could go further northwest. I forgot how potent it actually looks on this model already, but on the GFS model, we will see that it does not look this way. So we will compare and contrast, and I hope this doesn't happen, but it looks like this model is indicating more freezing rain could be occurring. The main difference here is that this model keeps this storm offshore, just like that. And I'm going to draw in red where our current storm is actually going to go. And it's going to be a lot more like this. So there's a massive difference, obviously, in those two tracks I just drew out for you guys there. Probably like, I don't even know, 300 miles maybe. So that is a huge difference here, and we're seeing obviously some pretty sketchy stuff here from the models that you would kind of question. We're seeing snowfall all the way down to the Panhandle of Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, almost the entire state of Georgia there in a major snowstorm, and the entire state there in a major winter storm because we see freezing rain at the coast, snow for a majority of the state. This is pretty far-fetched, I will say that, but we need to watch it. Obviously, I would be pretty disappointed in this because my area is the only area that seems to not deal with a snowstorm as this one. Obviously, it's one model run, but that is interesting how it shows that. And we see this storm become a very strong one, 986, and I think it becomes a 979. Yeah, so this would be a more major storm actually than the ongoing one. especially for these regions. And this model indicates these regions, but this is where it's kind of like sketchy land. I mean, it's not impossible, but just a little bit sketchy there, a little bit of fantasy land stuff going on that we would need to really see consistency to really believe at this point. But yeah, very major snowstorm, only 150 hours out. Usually you would consider that to be the medium long range. This is when, okay, so like for instance, this is 6 days out. That's kind of plausible, okay? That's something we can work with. That's not fantasy range there by any means. That is actually where we start to actually consider things. So that is worth watching. And that does become especially a major snowstorm for New England and the Northeast, but also for the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast on this model, as you can see. That is followed up by extremely cold temperatures. And then what ends up happening is we get a couple of these storms here offshore that kind of are moving just along the jet stream here, but they never really grow into anything or amount to anything. But that is storm signals that we're seeing from this model, but it's just not really amounting to anything. Okay, now our GFS model. Here's snowstorm number 1, the ongoing one. Let's take a look at the differences. So the 22nd is when we see this storm happen. So this is that storm that we saw a major snowstorm out of on the European model. It's about here. Look at how it's a little bit more flat with the jet stream there. We do see some snowfall taking place in here. So the interesting thing is we have both major models on board with some sort of southeastern and mid-Atlantic winter storm, which is obviously interesting. And again, this isn't a range where we would consider this to be literally like impossible, but we do see some snowfall lingering for those regions. Obviously, since this just heads offshore, is a 973 millibar low pressure center, by the way, which is significantly stronger than the ongoing storm. So this would be a absolute whopper. It looks like it's going to happen regardless. It's only 6 days out. It's more about, will it be offshore like this GFS model is showing, or will it be about here where the European model is showing it? Again, there's probably 200 miles or so difference there between those two low pressure centers, where the European model would show it and where the GFS model would show it. So it's about tracking where it would end up being. I'm just glad there's a lot to talk about in this upcoming pattern. And if you look to your south central regions of the United States, we see another storm heading in on a similar track. And as we watch that storm, classic Miller A nor'easter. Classic Miller A nor'easter, guys. If it follows this track, it is absolutely classic. So let's watch it. Boom. Look at that. Classic Miller A nor'easter. I'm having kind of a weather nerd moment here because this is just such a classic storm signal that you see massive snowstorms out of. That first one's already interesting enough, but it's the second one that really has my attention on this model. And this is 8 days out, so this is a little bit further. But with this jet stream as well, just the way it really sharply curves up the coast, this is the signal you want for these regions, especially the coastal regions. With the cold being already established enough for these regions, you would see the coast getting more involved with this type of storm. I know that's the area that primarily has been seeing the lacking of snow now, but you see these coastal regions really get whopped by this one. And it would be really interesting. And then this one becomes a 964 millibar low pressure center there for New England. Even more significant than the storm before it, which is, again, more interesting. And then we see the jet stream kind of flatten out a little bit, and we get a bit of a Miller B nor'easter try to take place and bring even more snowfall here towards the end of January. Let's just ride it through. And then what ends up happening is this model kind of gets averaged out. But the one thing that stays true is all the way through February 1st, which is the very long range, by the way, 384 hours out. So take this with a grain of salt. But we still have a major ridge in the west, major trough in the east, even more major by this point. And overall, snowfall chances and brutally cold conditions seem to be the trend here for the second half of January in the eastern half of the country. I know going through December, you guys did not think it was even possible, but it has been very cold so far this January, and there's been multiple snowfall chances, and it looks like there's going to be even more moving forward. I am super excited about this upcoming pattern. If you want to see the total snowfall according to both of these models, again, join the channel membership. I'm going to make another post about that over there on the channel membership, which would show up on our channel page. That's going to be next to the subscribe button down below. Feel free to join that, and if you join one of the upper tiers, you will get a channel member highlight of the day shout out. Now, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 3 out of 6. We're moving all the way back down this just because of the fact that we talked about, primarily long-range things today, and we're going to spend the upcoming week or so, increasing that confidence over time and getting where we need to be once these storms are really about to happen. Now, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, which state do you think will deal with the worst freezing rain out of this ongoing storm? And Elizabeth M said the state with the worst freezing rain is going to be North Carolina, and I certainly agree at this point based on current data that we're seeing actually take place right now and also the model guidance that we've been seeing consistently for this storm. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Little the Pan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also to thank our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalesa, Catpite, Charles Stinnett, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Calisi also. I would also like to thank our channel members Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Again, this is where you can join our channel membership next to the subscribe button down below and gain access to this awesome posts and end up on this page if you become a Weather Top Dog, Direct Weatherite, or Super Fan. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.